Okay, everyone, it is time to go to school to learn about fish. Excited. And who better to get us swimming in the right direction? Did you like that joke?
Yeah.
Then, of course, Rachael Pridham from Clark's Pet Emporium. And today she brought a very special guest, Aaron Michael Martinez, who is the manager of the Clark's on Lomas. Welcome. I'm going to reach over and welcome you.
Thank you.
Nice
Thank you
to
very
have
much.
you here today.
Glad to be here.
It's one topic, Rachael and I were just saying, it's the one topic we really haven't touched on at all when we talk about your pets. We talk so much about dogs and cats, but a lot of people have fish, and those who don't, a lot of them want fish. So let's get right into the education and talk a little bit about the topic. First of all, what do you notice the most when you have people come in and they say, we want to buy fish for our house? What is the most talked about topic that you hear?
I feel like there's a mentality to just throw as many fish as possible into the tank and just keep your fingers crossed and hope for the best, which usually results in terrible, terrible, terrible experiences.
Right.
So at Clark's, we really try to transcend beyond just hoping for the best and really take a scientific approach to bringing fish into your aquarium, checking bacteria levels, making sure everything is exactly where it needs to be to allow your fish to acclimate to their new environment as smoothly as possible.
I think a lot of people think, well, I'll get a bowl of water and I'll get some fish. And I don't think they realize, like you said, bacteria, the right environment. There's so much to it. So tell us a little bit about, give me some tips, because I know there are a lot of people out there that want to understand. I mean, how would you set up basic freshwater fish? How would you, what would be the setup?
Well, you'd get a container, a tank, and add some type of surface agitation, usually a filter to just ripple the top, which puts oxygen into the water.
Right.
That allows a beneficial bacteria to grow, an aerobic bacteria, that breaks down the toxins from the waste of the fish.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. It's like an underwater compost pile.
I like that. I like that. Well, okay, what's the process of what's the nitrogen cycle process? Because I know you talked about that.
Well, the nitrogen cycle, as we said, the fish produces waste and it breaks down into ammonia, just like the kitty litter box after about a week. Okay,
that makes sense.
As it further breaks down, the beneficial bacteria comes in and converts it into progressively less toxic chemical compounds until the fish is happy.
Oh, wow. See, I mean, I'm listening and I feel completely like I'm in school getting an education, because these are things you don't think about. And I think a lot of people out there that want fish a lot, especially for kids, they think, oh, we just want to get colorful, pretty fish, but they don't always realize that some fish are probably better to pair with others than not. So give us some education on that as well, because I have a feeling there are people out there not knowing what fish mix best together.
There's a lot of fish that are kind of broadly considered community fish. One of the things that I find a lot of people don't think about is the potential size of the fish. Most of the fish that we sell at the store are juveniles.
Right, so they're smaller.
Yeah, so they're much smaller than their potential size.
Good point.
So there's a lot of fish that are going to be a foot long when they're fully grown, and you can't just slap them in a 10-gallon tank. So you want to really do some research on what types of fish you want to put into your tank.
That's such a good point. And it's we talk about that even with dogs, because we were saying when you consider your environment and the size of the pet, when you first get a pet, it's like people, we're all little and we grow. So you have to consider that. And so when people come in and they say to you, this is the kind of fish I want, do you give them guidance as to what type of tank? And
absolutely. I mean, fish, as Rachael so eloquently stated, don't grow to the size of their environment. I mean, it's a myth that's very common, but it's not true. Their genetically predetermined size, their diet, their temperature, environment, everything has to be considered when introducing them into your home.
Right. Now, here's a question that I have. When you're feeding fish, right, let's say you have different, do they all have different diets? Because what happens if you have one fish that only needs one feeding a day and another that needs more? How do you work that out if they're in the same tank? I mean, logistically.
Well, some fish are herbivores, some are carnivores, some are omnivores. So, I mean, just the type of food can be an issue.
Okay.
As far as levels of the aquarium, of the strata that they occupy, some fish that live at the bottom probably won't get as much food as some of the ones up at the top. So these are all things to consider when adding fish into your aquarium, and we like to bring that to your attention at Clark's.
Is there one particular fish that you seem to get the most requests for when people come in?
The Siamese fighting fish, the Betta splendens, is one of the more popular because they don't really require any type of filters. They utilize oxygen directly from the atmosphere, so you can keep them in a fishbowl. They're actually much better in a fishbowl than goldfish would be.
Really?
Yes.
And what about goldfish? Because a lot of kids kill their goldfish unintentionally.
They're very, very dirty.
I'm not saying I did, but maybe I did.
They get large and they produce a lot of waste.
Okay.
So it's not the greatest choice for a smaller environment. I've always recommended at least 10 gallons per goldfish.
Okay.
However, I was just reading in one of the goldfish magazines, they recommended 20 gallons per goldfish.
Wow.
But figure the smallest ones are getting about the size of a large grapefruit. So.
Really?
Yes.
They get that big?
Yes.
I would never have known that.
On through about yay big.
It might be because I unintentionally said goodbye. Okay, you just brought up something else that I want to think about. The temperature of the water. How do you determine that?
There are cold water fish, there are warm water fish.
Okay.
And we really, in an environment like New Mexico, we really need to utilize heaters.
Interesting.
In smaller tanks, I have been known to actually put styrofoam across the backs, use fans. You know, in the hot New Mexico summers, absolutely, yeah. And then in the wintertime, you'd want to use a heater. But yeah, different fish that occupy different areas of the world are going to require different temperatures as well.
Well, the lesson to be learned here, of course, and you can see right on the side of us is the graphic with the details of the location. The lesson to be learned is be educated about the fish you choose, and when you make a choice or you need to make a choice, go into Clark's. These are the experts. They know what is right. And when you buy a pet, you want the pet to live as long as they can. You want them to live a good life too. So the most important thing is go in, talk to them. Aaron and Rachel will be happy to help you, and we appreciate your expertise. Thank you for being here today. Thanks, Rach. Sure. Have a great weekend, you guys. Now, of course, we will see you again next week, and we've got something to talk about. The toughest job going. It's 24/7, just ahead, a survival guide for the busy mom.